The audience murmured softly as the next contestant walked out from behind the curtain. The stage lights shimmered across his face, a young boy, maybe 12, wearing a clean but faded white shirt and dark jeans that looked a size too big. His shoes were scuffed, and his small hands trembled as he held the microphone. He looked nervous, but there was something in his eyes, a quiet determination, as if he had come here for something bigger than just a performance. The hall fell silent. The 4 judges looked up, and Simon Cowell leaned forward, already curious but with that same skeptical look he always had before an unknown act. The host smiled gently. "Hey there, young man. What's your name?" The boy adjusted the mic slightly. "My name is Carlo," he said softly. His Filipino accent made the name sound even sweeter. Simon tilted his head. "And how old are you, Carlo?" "I'm 12, sir." The audience smiled at his innocence. Heidi, sitting next to Simon, leaned forward and asked, "Where are you from, Carlo?" "I'm from the Philippines," he said, his voice trembling a little. "I came here, with my mom." The camera panned backstage. A woman stood there, her eyes wet, clutching her hands tightly as if she was praying. She whispered something only she could hear, and it was clear she was holding back tears. Simon nodded. "So, Carlo, what are you going to do for us today?" "I'm going to sing," he replied. Simon smiled faintly. "Good. And tell me, why did you choose this song?" Carlo took a deep breath, looked down for a second, and then back up. "Because it was my father's favorite song. He used to tell me that when I sing, I make people forget their pain." The audience instantly softened. There was silence again, the kind of silence that only happens when everyone knows something emotional is about to happen. Simon's tone grew gentle. "Where's your father now, Carlo?" Carlo looked down again. "He passed away 2 years ago," he said. "But before he died, he told me to never stop singing, no matter what happens." The crowd sighed softly. One woman in the front row already wiped away a tear. Simon nodded slowly. "All right, Carlo, take your time, let's hear it." The lights dimmed. A soft piano began to play, the opening notes of a slow, emotional ballad. The moment Carlo opened his mouth, everything changed. His voice wasn't just good, it was hauntingly beautiful. High, pure, yet full of pain. Every note carried a weight, a story, a memory. You could almost hear his father in the spaces between the words. The judges' expressions changed instantly. Heidi's eyes widened in surprise, Howie leaned forward with a hand on his chest, and Simon froze. His eyes were locked on the boy, and for a rare moment, even he looked speechless. The camera caught the crowd, hundreds of faces, mesmerized, moved. Some were crying, some were smiling in disbelief. It was as if every person in the room could feel that this boy wasn't just singing, he was releasing every ounce of pain and love he carried inside. As the song built toward the chorus, Carlo lifted his eyes to the ceiling and sang with everything he had. His voice soared, powerful and flawless. It wasn't just a performance, it was a message to his father, to everyone who ever doubted him. When the final note faded, there was a moment of stillness. No one moved. Then, suddenly, the entire hall erupted into applause. People stood up instantly, a standing ovation that lasted for several seconds. Backstage, his mother cried openly, whispering, "That's my son, that's my boy." Carlo wiped his tears on stage, overwhelmed. Simon leaned forward, his usual smirk replaced with genuine emotion. "Carlo," he said quietly, "that was unbelievable." The boy sniffled, trying to compose himself. Simon continued, "I don't think any of us were expecting that voice to come out of you. You sang with your soul. You made us feel every word." Howie added, "I've been on this show a long time. But every once in a while, someone comes in who reminds us why we love music. You just did that." Sophia clapped her hands, her voice trembling slightly. "You sang like you were born to do this, Carlo. I can feel your father smiling right now." The audience began chanting his name, "Carlo, Carlo, Carlo," and the boy covered his face with both hands, tears streaming down. Simon glanced at the other judges, then looked at the golden buzzer in front of him. The crowd caught the signal and started cheering louder. The boy looked up, confused, unsure what was happening. Simon smiled slightly and said, "You know what, Carlo, I think your father was right. When you sing, you really do make people forget their pain." And with that, Simon pressed the golden buzzer. The crowd exploded in cheers as golden confetti rained down from the ceiling. Carlo fell to his knees, sobbing as the music swelled. His mother ran out from backstage, hugging him tightly, crying into his shoulder. Simon stood, smiling proudly, clapping along with the audience. "You deserve this, young man," he said. The host came running onto the stage, helping the boy stand as confetti kept falling around them. Carlo looked up, his voice shaking. Thank you so much. I did it, Papa." The crowd went wild again. People in the audience were crying, waving Filipino flags, shouting words of love. It was more than a performance, it was a moment that everyone there would remember forever. Later that night, the clip went viral online. Millions watched it within hours. Comment after comment flooded the internet. "I'm crying right now. That boy has an angel's voice. Simon pressing the buzzer this fast says everything." In the Philippines, people gathered in small cafes and living rooms to watch. Some cried, others cheered. News anchors called him the boy who made Simon Cowell believe in magic again. Carlo's mother was interviewed days later. She smiled through tears. "He always sang for his father. Even when we had nothing, he would sing. It's how he kept us strong." The AGT producers showed behind-the-scenes clips, Carlo crying backstage, hugging Simon, thanking him over and over. Simon's words were gentle, almost fatherly. "You're a very special boy," he told him. "That performance, it will stay with me for a long time." But Carlo's journey didn't start there. Back home, he lived in a small wooden house near the coast. His father was a fisherman who worked from dawn till night. Money was always tight, but their home was full of laughter and songs. His father had a small guitar with a missing string, and every night he would play while Carlo sang beside him. One night, after a long storm, his father came home sick. He never recovered. The little boy watched helplessly as his world changed. After that, it was just him and his mother. He sang at school, in the streets, anywhere people would listen. Sometimes, he earned a few coins. Sometimes, nothing, but every time, he closed his eyes and imagined his father smiling. One day, a tourist stopped to record him singing. That short video spread online. A charity group noticed it and decided to help him apply for AGT. It was his first trip out of his country. His mother sold her small stall to pay for the tickets. "If this is his dream," she said, "I will give everything." And that dream came true. Weeks later, he returned to AGT for the semifinals. This time, the pressure was heavier. But when he started singing again, a song about hope, everyone could feel that same power, that same heart. When he finished, Simon said, "You've proven that talent has no boundaries. You've made your country proud." Carlo advanced again. During the finals, he performed a song he wrote himself, dedicated to his father. The lyrics spoke of missing someone but continuing to shine because of their love. It was raw, emotional, and honest. The audience listened in silence, tears in their eyes. When he finished, even the toughest critics stood up. He didn't win the show that season. But he won something far bigger. He won hearts. After the finale, Simon approached him backstage and said, "Winning isn't everything, Carlo. You've already won the world." Carlo smiled shyly. "Thank you, sir. My father would have been happy." Simon nodded. "He would have been proud. And so are we." Months later, Carlo returned home. The airport was packed with people holding flags and banners. Reporters surrounded him, shouting his name. His mother cried as she saw the crowd. Their small town boy had become a hero. He gave his first concert in his hometown, free of charge. The audience was full of children who looked at him with stars in their eyes. Before he started, he said, "This is for everyone who dreams, even when life tells you not to." As he sang, his mother watched proudly from the front row, clutching a picture of his father. Later, he visited his father's grave. He knelt down, placed a piece of golden confetti on the stone, and whispered, "I did it, Papa. Just like you said I would." Someone recorded the moment, and that video went viral too. Simon shared it on social media with the caption, "This boy reminded me what true talent means, heart, soul, and honesty." Carlo's life changed completely after that. He got invited to perform around the world, from small charity concerts to grand halls. Yet, no matter how big the stage, he always sang the same way, from his heart. In interviews, when asked about Simon pressing the golden buzzer, he always said, "That moment wasn't just for me. It was for every kid who believes they're too small to dream big." People would tell him, "You're the boy who made Simon cry." And he'd laugh softly, "Maybe, but I just sang the truth." Years later, when AGT aired its anniversary special, they replayed Carlo's audition. Even then, it gave people chills. Simon said in a reflection clip, "That was one of those moments you never forget. A kid walked in with nothing but a dream, and left with the world listening." And even now, when people search for Filipino boy shocks Simon Cowell, his video still appears, viewed by millions who never get tired of hearing that voice, pure, honest, and full of love. Because what happened that night wasn't just a performance. It was a promise fulfilled, a son keeping his father's dream alive. And long after the confetti stopped falling, and the lights faded, his song still echoed in the hearts of everyone who heard it. The voice of that small boy proved that no matter where you come from, when you sing from your soul, the whole world listens.